Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LFC Transfer Room live stream with myself, Harry, Craig, and Kev. Thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday evening following Liverpool's 5-0 hammering of West Ham, where we seen Trent do an interesting celebration. How you want to take that, however, is however you want to take that. And Salah, obviously, just being Salah. All of our front line scoring. Jones got an assist. Diaz got a goal. Gakpo got a goal. And I think he got an assist, or else he got an assist as well. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was just scoring for fun, basically. And then, sure, to top it all off, not Luis Diaz, but Diogo Jota comes on in the second half and just decides, do you know what, I'll score as well. So it was absolutely beautiful to see everybody scoring, the team firing on all the cylinders, and more importantly, keeping a clean sheet for once as well, which is absolutely great to see. Harry, with regards to the first half, how were you feeling about it before the first goal went in? Because as Craig just mentioned before the stream happened, and what he said in the group chat as well before we kind of jumped on, was Areola made a couple of good saves, and I think everybody was probably thinking the same thing of, here we go. Here's Gianluigi Buffon in the flesh, reincarnated again in front of us, and we're probably going to take, similar to when we played Newcastle after Pope was out, it took us 7 or 8 chances before we got our first goal. Before the first goal went in, were you a little bit worried that it might just be one of those days?
Yeah, we've seen so many games like that in the past few seasons of us starting well. The keeper makes 2 or 3 incredible saves, and they continue that for the rest of the game. We can't get past them, and it's like 70% possession, no goals, and it's painful to watch. But they started off, and the play was the build-up play was good, and then it got to the final third, and it wasn't quite clicking straight away. And then, we scored a goal, and it all came together, and it was wonderful to watch yet again. And yeah, just more of the same that we see every week, really.
Yeah, it is, and it's great. And really, I think we all knew we were going to score goals in this because West Ham just are very porous at the back. But Kev, the main sticking point, I think, is because since Ibrahima Konate has come out, we've looked a little bit defensively shaky. Now, looking at the numbers, we've conceded the same amount of XG and goals over the games as we did before he went out as to after he went out. But visually, there just looked to be something maybe lacking, maybe a physical presence that can't really be quantified. But how happy are you to see a clean sheet today?
That was the most impressive thing. We were still giving opportunities away, and we still do in certain games. And Kudus was the outstanding player for them. He played well. He was one of the bright sparks. Unlucky with the shot. But, there was always that element that there was more gears to us. So, even if they were to score, no doubt we'll go down the other end and at least score 1 or 2. We didn't need to. I worried when Gomez went off because I thought with Kwanzaa, he has had a few scary moments at the back since he's been back. But no, the back four played well. And came away with the clean sheet. Can't ask more than that. So that's more impressive as well for me. So no, all good.
Yeah, I think so as well. It was a little bit of a scare, Craig, when we seen obviously Gomez go down before the 40th minute. Seemed to be what was a hamstring pull or a strain. Looking at the physio scout here on Twitter, and what I'll do is I will actually share the page because it might just be easier so everybody can have a read of this. This guy is fairly impartial. He's not really sort of affiliated with most clubs or anything like that, as in he doesn't really show a bias. It just seems to be, give me 1 second, I get rid of this banner. Where are we? So this is essentially what he said. I'll zoom in on it a little bit. So Joe Gomez had to come off in the first half with what seemed to be a hamstring injury. Looked to have pulled up on his left leg, which was decelerating after the sprint. Fortunately, the mechanism looks like much more of a muscle strain as opposed to general tightness. Potential recovery time, if it's a grade 1, 2 to 4 weeks. If it's a grade 2, 2 to 6. A scan will probably have to be done, but this guy's opinion is it'll probably be out for at least 2 weeks with a hamstring strain. Let's hope it's only minor. Given that information, how confident are you over the next 2 weeks if Ibu isn't back, that we have Jarrell Kwanzaa there and possibly Wataru Endo in a pinch.
So you saw Gomez's shoulders drop though, didn't you? The
Yeah.
second he was walking off, it's that kind of like moment after an injury where they know. Now, obviously, that's a physio from blooming like thousands of miles away or whatever. But at the same time as well, we were concerned about the centre back position before Gomez pulled up. Maybe, not wishing injury on anyone, but if it's to happen, you'd probably want it to happen just before the transfer window opens. Obviously, kind of like Endo looked good against Southampton, but nothing was really coming at him, really, was it? So we can really play the DM role, really, from a centre-back position. What I love about Endo, though, is his professionalism's unbelievable, innit? It's like he flies in,
absolutely.
just whips out a man of the match performance against Southampton from such a defensive position. I think he could do a job. And I think, obviously we've got United next week, but then after that, there's some tricky fixtures, isn't there? It's away to like Brentford, who suddenly become 1970s Brazil at home. So there's a couple of kind of like tricky fixtures. I think Edwards is going to have to work his magic and have a little look at that laptop and see
Possibly.
what opportunistic signings we got. I didn't really want to throw Canate straight back in.
Looking at the fixtures, though, right? We've United next week. So that's a week. And just before today's game in the press conference, Slot was saying that Bradley and Ibu could be back training on grass by the time that United game rolls around. But he said they were definitely out for this game. So there's a possibility they could be back. And if they're not back by then, we have Spurs away in the Cup the 3 days after that. And then we have Accrington Stanley on the 11th, who were there, in the FA Cup. And then 3 days after that, then we've Nottingham Forest away. Probably you could end up seeing Gomez just missing those 3 games. Thankfully, because we have the week of rest there. Then straight after that Forest game, we've Brentford away, Lille at home, and Ipswich at home after that. So tricky fixtures, sure, but I think we have quite a little cushion for ourselves in the next 3 games until about January 14th, which gives us kind of that 2-week window that he could slot back in, or Ibu could come back. And realistically, none of the guys, Gomez, Verge, Ibu, or Kwanzaa probably, but he'd be the only one that would be playing that Accrington Stanley game. Oh, excuse me. Outside of that, it'll all be young lads, I'd imagine, realistically. So there's a nice kind of 2-week window there. I guess you could call us a bit lucky with that.
Maybe. It just depends what's the situation with Gomez. Could easily be 6, couldn't it? So we'll have to just see. I know we were a little bit concerned about the centre-back position before this.
Yeah.
But like as you say before, there's some cushion. It could go well, but it might not. I know we were kind of looking at the centre-back positions anyway.
Yeah, I think Ibu will be back by Spurs. If not, he'll be back by Accrington easily. Like back first team, in you go. There's your game. Get yourself up to speed before we go and play that tricky 2 fixtures of Brentford at home and Nottingham Forest at home. I could very easily see that. But we'll move on because the first goal basically went in and it was just free for all at that point. So Luis Diaz basically assists himself from Trent Alexander-Arnold's pass, and we'll get on to him in a moment now as well, because it was essentially over a 14-minute period that all of a sudden Liverpool were 0-0. Now it's 3-0, and then within 10 minutes of the second half starting, we're now up 4-0, which is great to see. But Craig, I'll ask you first in relation to it, just with the goals and how they came about. It really just was as if we got into another gear and all of a sudden we're like, okay, we'll just start playing football now. We've kind of figured them out and what they're going to do. And it seems to be the case all season so far. We've Derek here mentioning that Kwanzaa will do a job, just had a few bad moments, a few times he's played, but so was Robbo. Jesus, yeah. I'm sure Kev was absolutely amazed to see both Robbo and Simicast out there, and definitely isn't doing his heart pressure any good. But how the way the goals came about, obviously the first one was a beautiful pass by Trent, and then Diaz kind of got a lucky bounce, but you'll take them. We need them as well at the same time, because there was years that we haven't get them. And then obviously Salah got his goal I believe it was Salah that got the second. No, it was Gakpo that got his second. But Gakpo was absolutely nuts. That man is on fire at the moment, and it's absolutely brilliant.
Sharp, didn't he?
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. And then obviously Salah slots home the third just before half time. Which one out of the three was your favourite? Personally, for me, it was Gakpo.
Diaz for me, not just because I know he kind of set himself up effectively, courtesy of the centre back's hand when he flew in, but the eyes he gave the keeper. We were talking about it in the chat, weren't we? Was it last week? Last week in the stream, we were talking about kind of how Jota can just give the eyes when he brings the ball into the opposite corner. Very similar kind of one, wasn't it? Diaz looking at the other side of the goal, just placed it closest kind of post. But it was that one where you could just kind of sit. It was interesting, wasn't it? Because when Diaz hit that goal, the crowd just went, and they're not the loudest at West Ham anyway, are they? But kind of just went quiet. Then Kudos seemed to have a little cameo, didn't he, for 10 minutes where he kind of hit the post, and he kind of done that. He sent Robbo for the echo, didn't he? He kind of just turned them a few times. But then we just mauled them. But I do think that Diaz one, it just kind of just settled everyone down. It allowed us to go through the gears. And I put in the chat, didn't I? I was saying, it's either going to have to be a deflection to go past them or a scuff. Unfortunately, for that Diaz one, it was almost like the second the ball hit the net, you could just hear the soul of the stadium just go for Flopategi. It just kind of went out the stadium. Morale went. So I think the first one for me put me at ease. Enjoyed the rest of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, the first one kind of went in, Harry. It was just at ease at that point. It was just kind of, right, look, we've gotten the goal there now. West Ham are going to have to come at us. It'll probably open them up a little more. And realistically, it did. Was there any, of the five, was there anyone that was a specific favourite for yourself?
I always, whenever I'm watching games, I always think with Liverpool, it's get to, 3 goals and you can sort of relax because, there's always a chance of a comeback at 2. And the Salah goal was just bizarre. He shot from outside the box, I think, and it sort of reminded me of the goal he scored at Old Trafford a few years ago for the 4th, and you just couldn't believe it went in from there, and he just looked he looks a bit confused that he'd scored from there as well, and it was just that sense of relaxation after the third. It was quite a nice feeling, and you knew, especially it being West Ham, they weren't going to come back from there, and then you could just sort of relax and enjoy the game, and I think the players did that as well, the way that second half went. But yeah, probably the third goal for me, I enjoyed.
Yeah. Kev, we'll get on to Trent's goal because first goal of the second half, we were all very happy. You couldn't really ask for much better in the first half. 3-0, no real shots conceded. There was no real big chances conceded. Robbo kind of gave up the ball away a little bit, but thankfully they scuffed it and couldn't do much with it. And then obviously we pumped them 3-0 before half-time. Game was over at that point. But with Trent's goal, I suppose we'll get on to the celebration because we've Sotos here asking, and we've McClintock here asking as well, or McClintock asking there as well about the celebration itself. Trent ran over and started doing this. Now, I'll go around and ask everybody, but what did you make of it? Was there any hidden meaning behind it? Because he's obviously been very quiet the last few months compared to Salah and Van Dijk with regards to the contract situation. Did you take any hidden meaning behind it, or was it just there's a lot of talk these days kind of a thing?
I think there is meaning behind it. If it's Marca, they're probably saying, well, they'll try and make out he's definitely going to Real Madrid, Liverpool, and as always we will do. It's all the noise around, and I think it's a little clue that don't believe everything. It's all talk.
Yeah,
I do think he is personally gonna go, but that's me. But no, I was made up for him. It's surprising that it's his first goal of the season as well. So it's kind of been it was a great finish. Has it definitely been given to him because it did get quite a bit of deflection, didn't it, off Kilman to go in? But if it's been given to him, then that's fine. Look, we're going to expect some kind of message. He'll do one. No doubt Mo Salah will do something if he scores again, or when he does score against Man United on Sunday. So it's all part of the drama, all part of the game. So just going to wait and watch now. Some will get hopeful that there is meaning behind it, but only he will know. And if no one's asked him, then we're not going to know, are we? Unless he releases his book. But no, other than that, no. As I've just said, it's some will see a hidden meaning. Me personally, I've gone past caring now, Stig. So all I saw was a lad celebrating a goal. I didn't see nothing else. So that's something to look.
As you said in the group chat the other day, and I won't use the explicit language that came out of your mouth because there might be children watching. Send him to the under-18s if he hasn't agreed to sign, or if he's already agreed to sign with Real Madrid. Which I completely agree with you personally. Craig, Kev obviously is over it at this point. I think a lot of people are, and it's kind of just sign or fuck off at this stage because. Did you see any hidden meaning behind it? Because there's something that I also want to show, because the same celebration that he did also was done by another person that's quite close to Trent, and I'm going to show this to you now because we shared it on our page. 1 second now. Arne Slot said, Arne Slot, and this is what Arne Slot had to say about it. When Trent's celebration should tell you enough if you were worried about his future. So if there's another bit of a hint there that you want dropping. But I'm just going to show you the image here now. I'm going to get it up here because I've flicked down through all of the hilarious memes that we all posted. Where are we? Okay, here it is. So I'm going to share now because this is just to put a dampener on everybody's new year. And I'm going to come back over here. We're going to get rid of the style media assets. Get rid of that. Jude Bellingham done the same celebration when he played for England. So take of that what you will. I'll come out of this now. Zoom out a little bit. Where are we? There you go. So that's the same celebration Jude Bellingham did. Do you think it has any hidden meaning at all, Craig?
Yeah, I do. I think it's about Vinicius Jr. just talking absolute waffle. Talking about himself being the world's best player time and time again. That must be the only thing I can take from it. They're having a dig at Vinicius Jr.
Oh yeah, definitely. It has to be the only thing you can take from it. It's one of them that it's. Look, at this stage, I think everybody with a brain is kind of over it at this point. Now, I think Slot is after saying that Joe Gomez might be out for quite a while, but nothing has been confirmed yet. Scans will need to be done on his leg. We'll see how much of a strain it is. I know the old tired adage is that he walked off under his own power, but anybody that's strained a hamstring will tell you it's fucking agony. But do you take any deeper meaning from that celebration, Craig? Like, is there any deeper meaning? Like, jokes aside, I think there might be, and as well, that's kind of reinforced by Arne Slot's comments of that should tell you more than enough. That kind of a way, like that's nearly hinting at it could be close to being done. Like,
this morning, weren't we? Though it's like, so although he's kind of like doing these kind of like gestures of, because you could read it like what Kev alluded to, you could kind of like just say, oh, it's all this noise. I'm gonna sign it. Don't you worry about it. It's all sorted. I said I wouldn't talk about it in public. Yada yada yada. But he is the assistant captain. He's the vice captain, isn't he, of the club? And I do think there's something in it where you have to be a little bit more open with the fans around your future, really. Yeah. And I know there's a contractual kind of like element, and I know it's probably unbelievably complex. It's not like Football Manager where you just kind of just approve and it's just all done. So I get that. But when you're the vice captain of the club, you take an additional responsibility, don't you? And one of which is the people who pay your wages. I know,
no, we do.
Not as much as like time's gone by, but at the same time as well, I do think there should be an element of responsibility for Trent to tell the fans what's happening. You say about Trent, you say about Virgil and around Salah, who are both kind of like openly talking about the affection of the club. I know we kind of like talk about this most weeks, but that isn't really coming from Trent, is it? And I know he kind of regularly says, it's all behind closed doors, but that's not the point. The point is the fact that when he was interviewed at the start of the season, he made references to wanting like the Ballon d'Or more than he'd want the Champions League. It's them kind of like little comments with the same comments that Michael Owen used to make when he was at the club around preferring
to. Salah said? Salah was asked if he's thinking about the Ballon d'Or, and he said the only thing that I want is for Liverpool to win the Premier League.
See, that's captaincy language, though, isn't it? That's what you want to hear. You don't want to hear that someone's out for themselves. It's like when Owen was at the club and he'd regularly harp on about how good it is to play for England and I want to get fit for England. And I know Owen comes out regularly and he says he's really disappointed with how he's seen at the club. But at the same time as well, it's them little things about kind of like leadership. And I can't remember who made comments on the chat a little bit earlier about saying, it comes with a lot of pressure being like a Scouse player in a Scouse team or whatever. And I get that. But it isn't just about having a shiny armband, is it? It's also about kind of like leading the fans as well as it is the team. I'm a bit like Kev. I'm not asked whether he kind of like stays or goes now. No player's bigger than the club.
Yeah.
But long way of kind of like answering in terms of kind of like that gesture. We'll only know if he signs, won't we? If he goes, then it's obviously everyone kind of giving him daggers. If he stays, then it was all the outside noise before he signs his contract.
Yeah, it is kind of that way. But see, I think a lot of people are. What annoys me personally is he says this isn't going to be played out in public, and that's all fine and well. But the issue is the Spanish news articles are all coming out saying you've done it, you're gone, good luck, goodbye. Maybe that's his way of saying doing this, that it's all talk, and that's his message to the fans rather than coming out and publicly saying it. It could be that, but it's an interesting one to look at. Just looking at some of the tweets that have come out here from the Arne Slot post-game press conference. Obviously, he said Trent's celebration should tell you enough when asked about if he's worried about his future. He also then, instead of being asked about the contracts, he turned to the Sky interviewer and said, "What about the contracts?" and asked them about it, which was kind of funny. He also said, "I've only lost one game this year in 2024. That's both Feyenoord and with Liverpool. He's lost one game. It was Nottingham Forest. He's not letting that go. If we win everything this year, he'll still say, no, we could have done better. We could have beaten Nottingham Forest." And he wouldn't be wrong, but I just love the fact that he loses one game and then he's like, fuck it, I'm just going to win everything now. So, which is brilliant. Now, the Joe Gomez injury. We all know it's a hamstring. It's going to take a while before he's back. I don't know how long. He will be out for quite a bit, and these situations can happen in a season. Now, no confirmation on it, but obviously it could be a little bit worrying. But thankfully, we have the likes of Jarell Kwanzaa. We've Endo in a pinch, and we can also bring up Nalo as well in a pinch as well. But Ibu is expected to be back hopefully within the next 10 days. Arne Slot, before the game in the press conference on Friday, said that he should be back training in the next week along with Conor Bradley. Now, let's hope that happens, because that will be quite literally perfect that the second Joe Gomez goes down, all of a sudden Ibrahima Konate is back. But realistically, with the way Man United are playing, I don't mind Jarell Kwanzaa being in at centre back. I don't think that'll be a hard game for us at all. Now, I say that now, watch us go and get a 90-minute winner and make it 3-2. Harry, with just the setup and how we sort of play today, I just see a lot of comments coming in here with asking about, obviously, Chiesa wasn't in the squad. Is he injured again? I'll get to that in 1 minute, Derek. And then Felix mentioning that Darwin has been linked to AC Milan yesterday. Neither of these got any game time today. Nunes, however, was on the bench. You don't really need to sub a striker on when you're up 4 or 5-0, though. He obviously put Jota on to get some minutes, but are you worried about Chiesa at all in his lack of football, or is it more maybe he's just being geared up for the second half of the season following the fact that he had no preseason and no training?
Yeah, I think it's all about getting him fit, because he had no preseason. He's got the odd minute. You know, he came off the bench in the league against Bournemouth. He came off the bench against Southampton and started against West Ham. He clearly wants to integrate him into the team, or he wouldn't play him in those games. He'd give someone else the minutes. I just think he's played so little football that he's not ready for the Premier League. He didn't look that. He looked okay against Southampton. He looked sharp enough. Probably, he almost scored on his left foot, if I remember correctly. But I'm not worried. I mean, at the end of the day, what was £13 million or something around that? So worst comes to worst, you rehabilitate him. He doesn't get it into our squad, but you probably sell him for the same, if not more, than you bought him for. And I just want to go to Nunes as well. I thought, why don't you bring him on at 4-5-0? He's misses the next game. He's on 4 yellows. So he probably just didn't want to bring him on. So he had him fit in the squad for United if we need him. So, yeah, I think it should all be fine.
Yeah, I think so as well. And just Felix Darwin was linked to AC Milan, but it was by an AC Milan fan page. So that has about as much credence and weight to it as me saying that Darwin Núñez is going to win the Ballon d'Or. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. To answer your question, Derek, about the loans to the Italian league, the only news in relation to that is coming from Italy. And they're notorious for over-exaggerating things. Every time you see Chiesa, he sat there smiling. I don't think he's this homesick or anything like that myself, personally. In that game against Southampton in that 45 minutes, I thought he looked electric myself. I thought he was very, very good. He was 6 inches away from having a goal and an assist in 45 minutes, and everybody would have been losing their minds over him. If Harvey Elliott is a half a foot more forward, that's a goal on the sort of cross box pass that he put in or shot that he put in. And then obviously he got the ball around the keeper, but it was nearly a goal line clearance from about a yard out from the goal that stopped it from being an absolute wonder goal, by the way. Now, he's right footed. He cut in on his left foot and done that. I think we have an absolute bargain of a player there for 12 million. And as Harry said, if it doesn't work out, it's 12 million quid. We'll rehabilitate him, and all of a sudden now he'll go for either the same or more, and it's zero cost to the club whatsoever. And I can guarantee you the jersey sales alone would have paid for his wages, realistically. But we're going to move on to our picks for man of the match before we finish up. Now, there was a good few that could have been in this, realistically, but I leave my one to last, but I'm going to get everybody to do theirs. Harry, if you wouldn't mind throwing out your man of the match first, who did you think it was?
It's very difficult because everybody was good. You could have had, well, obviously Salah got a goal and 2 assists. I think Van Dijk was really good. I'll try and be a little bit different. I'll say, well, not different in terms of other matches, but I was very impressed with Gravenberch, the way he played, because he was essentially playing on a yellow card because obviously he got booked, he'd missed United. So the way he handled himself, the way he played whilst essentially being on a yellow card, I thought was brilliant, and he did exactly what he had to do, and I was very impressed with him, so I'll go Gravenberch again.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Gravenberch was actually absolutely fantastic. He played only 57 minutes. He had an assist. He misplaced 2 passes all game. Was brilliant in his defensive actions as well. I'm just looking at the numbers that were here. Wasn't great in his duels, to be fair, but I don't think we had so much of the ball. I don't really think it mattered, to be honest with you, with that. But yeah, Gravenberch is a great shout. We've Derek here mentioning Salah. Anybody else that wants to throw their man of the match in, please do so. Make sure to like and subscribe as well. If you haven't done so already, make sure you have your notifications on for all future streams and videos. Get your man of the match votes into the chat so that we can have a look at them and discuss them. Kev, who would you have as man of the match?
I'd have to say Mo. A goal, 2 assists. He played really well, and the goal he set up for Jota was great. The way he took it in the middle of the centre circle and then takes it all the way and lays it off to him. His goal, as Harry alluded to, is similar to the goal he scored against United. I think all round he's playing great at the minute. I think he's getting a goal every 50 or 54 minutes.
I think after tonight, it's probably it was 59 minutes before tonight, but I can guarantee you
it'll be about 54.
Down. Yeah.
So that's that. Rich in form, everything he's doing, and the stress of having to deal with the contract as well as playing well. It's great. So yeah, I'm going to keep it easy and just say Salah. So there we go.
Yeah, no, it's hard to argue with that one, Kev. Realistically, it really is hard to argue with that one. Looking at his numbers here, apparently he can't dribble, but he completed 60% of them tonight. He did, however, miss 4 big chances. That man could have been on for 4 goals tonight, which is absolutely nuts. Craig, who would you have as your man of the match? Because obviously we've had Salah so far. Just taking a look, Lee here mentioned he's staying. Stephen talks shite about not wanting the club to give Salah another big contract. He's staying. Stephen talks shite about he's staying, or are you saying I talk shite about the club not wanting to give him a big contract, or are you saying that he's staying there's shite talk about him. I'd love to know if you're saying that it's me, because me talk shite, never. Craig, who did you have as man of the match?
Obviously, Mo was amazing, wasn't he? But I just think like everything McAllister done today was just absolutely clean, wasn't it? There was a moment, I think it was like 70 minutes in or whatever, and I can't remember, was it just before Bowen went off, and he sprinted back like on his tiptoes, like something off the Flintstones, nicked the ball away, and played like a beautiful kind of like 15 yard pass down the line for Robbo to run onto and start the attack again. I thought Gakpo just exploded, didn't he, when he started? Like right from the first whistle, like that, the ball he put through actually for Salah in, was it like the 3 or 4 minutes? My days, that's pure FIFA, that, wasn't it? It's like kept his finger on triangle and just curved into his path. I don't think anyone's seen it. I think the cameraman was surprised, wasn't he, when he kind of like, the cameraman just kind of like had to pull away. But McAllister, I think Trent had a good game. You know, all things considering. I thought he'd done well, but yeah, I'd probably say McAllister, because he just looked like there's something about our conditioning at the club, isn't there? Because there was a moment. Who was it that went down? Was it when Bowen went down? It was around like the 70th minute. He's kind of like sitting on the floor, and the camera was kind of like looking at like Lopetegui, who looked like stressed. And you saw kind of like West Ham players dripping in sweat, like they've been through a sauna. And then it panned back, and you saw McAllister, who looked like he was sitting at a poker table. He was like really calm. Gravenberch didn't have a drop of sweat on his shirt. It's like the conditioning our lads are going through at the minute is ridiculous, isn't it? I know it's a lot easier. We have Moose the ball, but at the same time, there's something in that. But yeah, I'd probably go McAllister, because he looked like he could just go and play another game straight afterwards.
It was beautiful to watch. Like, his passing alone was fantastic. I'm just going to look at it here now, the numbers that I have here in front of me. Misplaced 6 passes overall. He created 3 chances. His defensive duty was nuts. 175% of his tackles and nearly 60% of his duels. And as you said, sprinted back and recovered the ball 10 times. Like, he's absolutely nuts.
Ridiculous.
Lee here with a reply to my question earlier. You openly say he shouldn't get another big contract and the club are right to be cautious. Unreal. Well, you're wrong, because that's not what I said. What I said is the club are right on the limit of what they're spending, and that he may be the one that may end up getting cut because of it, because wingers that rely on pace usually drop off after the age of 30. Salah is his own player. However, I've also said that if he does sign, I don't want to give him an increase, because I'd rather move him centrally where he doesn't have to focus on his sprinting speed, because there was a number of times earlier on in the season where he was trying to get away from a fullback and he didn't have the legs to do it. However, he now seems to have figured out his passing and gotten rhythm with his passing, which has driven his assists up through the roof. I've no problem with them renewing his contract. The club are right to be cautious. You have a 32-year-old, soon to be 33-year-old winger, and you're looking to sign him until he's probably about 36. He's going to drop off in that time, no matter what anybody thinks. So if you're going to come at me with something like that, at least be right. Anyways, we're going to finish it there. Hope everybody had a wonderful evening. I hope everybody is very happy going into the new year now with Salah on course to win his Ballon d'Or. And look, it's not my money. I don't care. Let them pay him what he wants. But just hear from this gentleman from Twitter. Max should be given man of the match. His work rate deserves it. He's one of the holding the team together. Craig, you have a supporter in that vein, I thought, anyway. But yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that whatsoever. But anyways, okay. And no, Lee, you weren't right. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure you have your notifications on for all future streams and videos as well, that if you never miss out. From myself, Harry, Craig, and Kev, thank you so much for watching today. Derek says he's going to get the AFCON d'Or, definitely, because he's definitely not going to get the Ballon d'Or, because that's just such a biased award. If he doesn't win the Ballon d'Or this year, you can pack it in, because I packed it in after Van Dijk didn't win it that year. I think it was 2019, 2020. So I packed it in after that. If Van Dijk wasn't able to win it, then Salah won't be able to win it now. And that's not because he doesn't deserve it. That's because they always either favor a Spanish team or a Spanish player. You literally seen it. The only two that were there for this year was Rodri and Vinicius Jr. And the Spanish player got it over the player in the Spanish team. And just for context, Salah has, I think he's either won or he's equaled Vinicius Junior's goals and assists tally for club and country in his Ballon d'Or season. Salah has done it before we've even hit January. For only the club, mind you. So that just shows the level that he's on at the minute. I think he's on record for the most goal contributions per 90 in Premier League history as well, which is absolutely nuts. Anyways, we're going to finish it there, guys. I want to thank everybody for joining us on this Sunday evening. We'll be back again tomorrow from 7:30 p.m. British Standard Time. Make sure that you're around for that. Like and subscribe, and make sure you have your notifications on so that you never miss out. We've just over 4,000 people watching over Twitter and YouTube. Make sure if you're on Twitter at the moment, jump over to our YouTube channel and make sure to like and subscribe when you're there as well, please. Thanks so much for joining us from the four of us. We hope everybody has a wonderful new year if we're not speaking to you before then. But other than that, we'll see you next time.